and talking about Jefferies Financial. The group has been told that some of the invoices underpinning its financing to an iron ore trader called Sapphire Minmetals, are not genuine. This is according to people familiar with the matter. This has been a story that Bloomberg's been reporting out over the last week or so. With more is Bloomberg News Chief Wall Street correspondent Sri Natarajan covering the financial space. He's here in studio. For those who maybe haven't been following, there's been a lot going on. What do we need to know?
Look, this is the latest in a series of incidents which is shining more light on the risk around receivables finance. So typically, ordinarily, this should be safe. You are lending against invoices. It's secured by invoices. You expect your client to be ultimately paid and you expect to be paid back. When it goes right, it is good money for the lenders. But there are occasions when it can go wrong, and it can go horribly wrong. And that's we saw it last year with First Brands and the collapse around First Brands and all the allegations around fraud and scam that came out. Now, over the last week, we've seen these instances first with Radiant World that Bloomberg reported last year. And now another company, Sapphire Minmetals, which seems to be somewhat tied to Radiant World, at least at some point. Radiant World and its owners were majority owners of Sapphire Minmetals. But the interesting bit for us is the connection of Point Bonita. Point Bonita is a trade finance focused fund at the asset management division of Jefferies. So it's just another black eye for Jefferies at a time you really don't want your investors to be asking you more questions about your investing missteps.
Is this you mentioned some other examples of this, including last year. Is this part of a pattern of events, or is this just the latest one-off?
To quote Jamie Dimon, it certainly feels like another cockroach out there. Now, your question is it an infestation? Not necessarily. Is it going to have material financial impact on Jefferies? Not necessarily. It has a 5.9% stake in Point Bonita, but does it leave a bit of a sour impression for their investors and for analysts and for people wondering about banks and other investors and their tie-ups with other trade finance firms?
And oversight,
yes.
right? Like oversight, like what is it? Like, assessing risks and so on and so forth.
And to some part, you have to assume like some of the allegations that we're talking about is falsifying invoices. And again, to be clear, Radiant World denied those allegations last week. Sapphire Minmetals in our story today is denying those allegations again. But when you're if it is what the allegations are, that is outright fraud, you also have to wonder how easy is it for some of these firms to be doing all the diligence that's required? How do you completely ensure that you snuff that out? And that might not necessarily be possible, but your investors will expect higher standards and much better diligence going forward. And that will focus people to reassess their processes to be able to sniff out risk and to be able to avoid some of these landmines.
Goes to reputation, right? Ultimately. And again, we should say there's still more to be known here. So we're
a lot more to be known.